Wait, I'm not live yet. Now we're live. Now we're going live. Jesus, all that.
Jesus Christ, Doug. Figure it out. Read a book.
This is different now. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show. I thought we were live, and now we're live. Now we're doing it. It's happening. It's changed now.
Look, the thing is, those who listen to the podcast miss what happens on the stream.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
All of you missed what happened just now on the pre-stream, and
That's
it was
true.
amazing.
It was great. I thought we were live because for some reason now my OBS and stream elements have now synced up with YouTube. Hey, Zinny Meow Meow.
Oh.
It didn't used to be that way. I would have to do something like to copy the web browser from the chat on YouTube into OBS. So it was like this whole thing but now it's like all synced up, and when I'm like, yeah, go live, it's like, oh, do you want to go live? I'm like, yes. And the other day I went
sure.
The other day I went live, and I went live without, because usually I have to go live on YouTube. Nobody gives a shit what I'm talking about, but I thought we were live and we weren't. Who gives a shit about the specifics? Is there anything better than someone who tries to tell a bad story and they get into really frivolous like descriptions and details where you're like, cool, I can't wait to see how this affects the story, and then they keep going, and then they get to the end, you're like, oh, none of that mattered. We should have edited, select, edit, squish it together, and that would have been way better. Like that
can be hard, man. It can be very hard sometimes, especially if you're excited about it. You know what I mean? Like you're just like, a story's not a good story until the fifth time you've told it.
Rolo, thank you. He's like, you're live. Thank you, pal. How are you, man? How's life in the UK? With it being like, what time is it? Like 5 a.m. over there? What time is it in the UK? Since we, fucking sprung forward. It's 1:03. Not too late. But you are 5 hours ahead now. So there you go.
Time to wrap it up after you watch.
Since we done sprung forward, hopefully we won't have to do that ever again. Because
we'll see, man. We'll see.
I mean, our government, if there's one thing we could get right and get done quickly, it's daylight savings time.
Daylight savings time.
Fuck everything else that's going on. But we're going to get the memes I saw about them doing that.
Yeah.
It was like the guy that was like looking like he has this girlfriend by the hand. He's looking at the other girl walking by. It's like the girl that he's holding on to is all these problems. But the girl walking by is like daylight saving time. Is like, ooh, yeah, let's get that done,
Yeah, that's the thing we all need to unite over.
Right? Hey, Richie. How are you, pal? Top of the morning to you as well, my friend. Doing great, man. I'm doing great. Thrilled to be here. Happy to be here. Happy to have more really important stuff to talk about. Real important, hard-hitting stuff we're going to be talking about today, let me tell you. Woo-woo! Oh, man. Oh.
I'm adding to the list.
Yeah?
First, I think we need to address daylight savings time.
Let's do it. I mean,
all right.
The world wants to know. It really is dumb when you think about it. It just...
Wait.
Okay. Hold your tongue, sir. Shut it.
You take that silver tongue and you swallow it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I say we get started. You ready, buddy?
Yeah, let's do it.
What?
Yep.
Okay, here we go. Let me actually hit record here. That would be good. Let's try this again. Hey, we're okay. We're okay. Shut up. Shut up. Shush. Shush. Come on. Back to one. Here we go. Back to one. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Mind Gap. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And nothing but professionalism here on this show. Nothing but pure professionalism. We get it right the first time, every time. That's our motto here at Mind Gap Podcast. Forget what you've heard on Google reviews about us. Disregard the 3-star rating from Yelp. We get it right every time, and the customer is not always right. Fuck you.
Those people were just sore. That's all they were, sore.
They were sore losers is what they were.
Yeah.
A bunch of cucks. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cool. I think here's the thing: if you're wondering why we start the show laughing often, you need to get here and watch live. That's the only thing.
Yeah, you do, because it's a treat. Tonight was a real treat. There's a lot of times where I'm like, okay, we're live. Nope, just kidding. No, we're not. All right, you ready to go? Great. Shit, I'm not recording. It's good stuff. It's quality content.
Right. It's 4-5 extra minutes that you need in your life.
Yeah. So head on over to youtube.com/mindgap podcast. We stream live every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Central and Saturday 8 p.m. Central for the video game live stream. Plugs, plugs, plugs. All up your butt.
Plugs.
Ah.
The live stream on Saturdays, man. Dungeon Karens.
Wow.
We did it.
It came to an end. I guess
You did it.
it was 2 years in the making. I thought it was one, but then I realized we started in 2020. Yeah.
Wow.
That was
damn,
But to be fair, we did it like once a month.
You know,
We averaged maybe every month and a half. So
yeah. I think our longest time in between was like 3 months.
yeah, there was definitely a time there where everyone was busy.
Yeah.
They couldn't get in. And it was.
We started initially every 3 weeks, didn't we?
I think so. That was kind of the goal, to try to do it every 3 weeks. And then when we did that recently, we were like, "Wow, this came up fast."
We were like, "Oh man, I don't know." Too much.
Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. If you're not familiar with that, we were streaming. If you should be. By the way, we pumped that shit up on our podcast. But we were. I was hosting a Dungeons and Dragons Lite board game on Tabletop Simulator with Justin, our very lovely Jervis, Eric, and Sam, and I was basically getting their toes a little dipping their toes into the D&D world. And we had ourselves a great time.
Our toes moist.
My dog just busted in. What's up, dog?
Dog was like, "I'm into toes. What's up?"
Yeah, and just as quickly as she came in, she left.
Boom. It's in and out.
Justin, tell everyone about the Dungeon Karens and how it went for you.
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Well, it's D&D Light, which means that it is, half the lift and half the fun. It's not as difficult. Apparently, also not as fun. We had a blast though.
Yeah.
I think a lot of them are recorded, and you can check them out on our YouTube. You can't go back all the way, but you can see a lot of them on YouTube.
Yeah.
I had a blast. From what I understand, and the one time that we guested on D&D, a D&D podcast, the Almighty Crit, Fumbling 4 and the Almighty Crit, it's nothing. Gameplay is absolutely nothing like actual D&D. But it did get me familiar with like mages and clerics and gnolls and nobbies, gobbies, and gobby nobbies and all that.
Yeah.
Still haven't encountered a Hydra, unfortunately. I know what a Necrotim is now. So it got me. It slowly introduced me to the conceptual, realm of the game. So that was fun.
Yeah,
and we got to tell fart and dick jokes on Saturdays, which is fun too.
Yeah, it was really fun. Just to get a chance to play with you guys and kind of get your interest in it, and I'm looking forward to doing real D&D with you. And
I am
some
too.
other folks.
Now, allegedly, Doug has been teasing this for fucking ever, but allegedly, it's very, very close.
Yes. So I have been building a quote-unquote one-shot. I say that in quotes because it won't be done in one shot, is typically what they are. It'll probably take a couple of sessions, but it's not a full campaign. But the idea is I built something from scratch, also known as home brewing. I built my own story, my own setting, my whole everything. I've written it. I've built it out. And I've got it in a draft, and I'm going to test it with some of the folks in Discord. And I'm just kind of nervous because this is the first time I've run a D&D campaign, but it was a pre-written campaign. So I'm like, whatever, all the work's done. I just follow that. But this is something I've written from scratch. And I'm like, oh, how good is this? How solid is this? And I need to test it because the whole point is to have Justin and a couple other folks try it out for the first time, give them a good, solid D&D experience.
This will be my very first time playing full on playing actual D&D.
Yes.
And not just being a guest character in someone else's campaign.
Yes, and I'm very excited. There's I put a lot of pressure on myself because I want it to be good and fun and interesting. And
the thing is, Doug is underselling it. Doug has had an ambition for a long time to take down Matt Mercer, and this is just step one in Doug's campaign to be the most highly lauded dungeon master ever.
And listen, I'm just calling you out now, Matt Mercer. You think you can do accents? Look out.
Just wait.
Just look out. Everyone's going to sound really Italian. Okay. They're going to be either really Italian or they're like Olive Garden Italian or they're going to be like dirty South people.
We open in Tuscany.
Hey, welcome to the family. It is me, Bellissimo. Mwah, mwah, mwah.
We open in the Feywild of Tuscany.
What the fuck are you doing here, you son of a bitch? You know, as they cock their crossbows.
That's right. Oh, I can't wait. It's
Yeah, we're going to have a lot of fun.
And I love it.
We're going to have a lot of fun.
Not because of what you created, because I don't know what I'm doing. Hey,
she's back again.
Can we put like a chair? Like, you know how in the 70s when someone needed to lock a door, they just ram a chair up underneath the handle?
I mean, I've got a chair over here. I don't know if it'll work though.
She just comes barreling through head first.
Yeah.
Through the hollow door.
You want to help me out here, babe?
Now, was that Jill with the squeaker, or was that Loki?
That was Loki. That was Loki with the squeaker. Yeah, this door sucks. It doesn't latch.
I'm sorry. We were saying something about professionalism on the podcast, pure professionalism.
We get it right every time the first time. That's enough said right there.
That's
enough
it.
said.
Yep.
So.
Yep.
Anyway, it was great. Wrapping up. It made me sad to wrap up, but we had a really good time. You guys, I think, were sufficiently challenged. Not by the end boss. You guys basically bent him over the barrel and showed him who's boss. But
I was a little surprised at how, because as soon as you were like, oh wait, mathematically we win. I was like, wait a second, that's it?
Yeah, you guys had the most powerful potions combinations where you're like, everyone's gonna miss a turn,
right?
And then Sam can hit whenever he wants, and then he has a shield that if it works, will reflect back, and then also we're going to reduce your armor class to 0 so that you will take full damage. I'm like, oh.
And then everyone just take pop shots at him.
Everyone was just like, and it was game over. I was like, okay. Well, at least the room before was scary.
Yes, it was. Yes. There was 8 doors, and we opened one, and all of them flew open, and all of our favorite friends from the previous couple campaigns from the game showed their faces.
Yeah, it was
their cloven hooves.
It was interesting. But yeah, go check that out on our past live streams on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/mindgappodcast. And while we're talking about it, just a little bit of housekeeping here just to get things done. Like I said, check out our YouTube channel. We do live stream every Tuesday and Saturday at 8 p.m. Central. Tuesday is the podcast, so you can come hang out with us, chat with us live while we record. Saturdays is the video game live stream that I host, which is just a whole bunch of different games. Anything from Tabletop Simulator to Jackbox games to What the Dub to other things like Left 4 Dead 2. I might be getting convinced into playing Fortnite again. So that may possibly be happening. What's that?
Who's got you by the balls on that one?
Jared and Zenny. They both play it, and apparently for this season they've removed building in the game, so it's just straight up shooting, which I never built anyway because I'm like, fuck that shit. I'm not doing that. So that might be happening this Saturday. So come check us out for there. And if you'd like to support us, you can go over to our Patreon, patreon.com/mindgappodcast. Show us some love over there if you've got the funds. Give us a subscription. Be one of the cool people like Wolf's Lore, like Tom McIntyre, like Richie Armour. You haven't heard this music, or you haven't heard this productions, by the way, and shout out to Richie. We're a part of their family now, which is awesome, so cool. So check out all the other podcasts like the 1 Pound Podcast. You haven't heard this music, and a couple others that they have on there too, which is really cool. You could also be the cool people like Zinni, Slutty Bartfast, and Almighty Crit, all of who are wonderful, powerful, loved patrons over at patreon.com. You can also check out our merch over at redbubble.com. Pick yourself up something nice. Get a t-shirt, tote bag, backpack, mug, you name it. It's over there. Pick yourself up something nice with that Mind Gap logo on it. Wear it around and be like, I like this. It's fun. You should like it too. Or if you're like, Doug.
Is that a preview of one of the characters?
Hey, I don't want to spoil anything.
Fair enough.
But, there is a really cool bartender, tavern owner, who says wild and racist shit. But if you're like, Doug, inflation, it's 7%. The consumer price index came in and gas is $4.50 a gallon. I don't know how I can't do it. No problem. No problem, fictitious person whom I love. Just hit the like and subscribe button right here on our YouTube channel. Costs you literally nothing, means everything to us. And it works. And if you want to go a little bit further, spread it around. Be like, hey, check out this awesome short of Jared saying he's getting wet by hearing me introduce the big bad evil guy in our most recent, live stream. Or find that episode that you love. Put it out there in your social medias. Like, rate, review, all that stuff. Costs you nothing. It helps us so much. Last but not least, please check us out on our Discord. Join our Discord server. Join the Mind Gap family. Come hang out with us. We have fun, lively discussions in there. We set up video game nights. We hang out. It's a good group of people. And all you got to do is head down to the link in the description below on YouTube. Join our server. Join the family. We'd love to have you. We appreciate you. That has been Housekeeping. Thank you.
Yes.
Ta-da.
Yes.
Justin.
I just realized that we have two, we're going to have competing wet sound bites. We're going to have Jared asking, did that get anyone else wet? And then we're going to have...
I'm showing some signs of being fucking wet!
So we're going to have to maybe do a throwdown between the two sound clips when we pull the other one.
Dude, I tell you, that clip from Noah, it's hard to, if we should take some time. Maybe we do like a bonus thing for our Patreon folks where we just go through the soundboard and we just rank our favorite sound clips.
Yeah.
That would be a lot of fun. That would be so much.
Absolutely.
Because we have such good stuff. And there's some things that I just haven't even pulled. Some of the times I don't pull them because I'm like, is this just bullying at this point? If I keep pulling stuff from Jared,
Well, yeah, but that's okay.
But that's okay, right? I
Yeah.
mean,
it just...
Fuck me, slutty.
That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. Listen, when you play with us, just know anything you say can and will be used for our enjoyment. Okay? So
Yes, it will.
I will haunt your butt.
yeah.
That's it.
And for the record, I've pulled a lot of my own quotes and put them in there. So
Thank you for saying quotes.
yes, I pulled my own.
Pulled a lot of my own.
I pulled a lot of my own. I'm a man.
I put my dick in worse.
Right? See? We've all been there. It happens. Justin, how was your week, man?
My week was good up until today. I got a front row view. So outside of my window, now that we've moved to Michigan, I have nature. And outside of my window, I throw bird seed every morning. So I feed the birds, and it's not a
Hippie.
euphemism. And as I work, I can watch. I'm an old man. I can watch the birds, and I go, that one likes me. Well, one of the little creatures that I've drawn was this cute little chipmunk that was eating all the sunflower seeds in the bird seed mix. And it was really cute. And
Piece
today,
of shit. Stealing all the food that wasn't for him.
and all of a sudden, a hawk just dives down, snags this fucker like no one's business. I sent Doug a picture, and this hawk's face is just fuck around and find out. Like
Yeah.
this hawk was not messing. And my little buddy died, and it was a bummer. And I was like, "Huh, nature, interesting."
It's a bitch.
I
Nature's
had
a
the,
bitch.
like, it's funny. The initial thought I had was like, I should run out and try to save him. Like, what am I going to do against a hawk? By the time I get out, this thing's going to be flying away. And even if it didn't, what am I going to try to unpry it from its talons? I'm
Yeah.
like,
Do you want to get a taste of those talons? I wouldn't.
Hey, does that hawk want to get a taste of, Uncle McGee and Seamus O'Malley? That's my fist names.
Yeah. I remember it was a year or two ago. We were just looking outside, and I can't tell if it was a hawk or a falcon, but it was a younger one, and it just landed on our fence. And I was like, oh, shit, look at that. And the squirrel just came up and sat right next to it. I'm like, Bruce, that, my friend, is not a good idea. And he just sat there. And, like, the hawk was it was so young that the squirrel was almost too big for it. So a couple times it like kind of flew up, like trying to size it up, and the squirrel was like, "What are you gonna do about it, child?" It was so nonplussed. I was like, "What is going on here?"
That squirrel was on PCP.
He was
100%.
like, "Yeah." He's like,
He was sitting back with his friends, like, "I'm gonna do it. Fuck this fucking, fuck this hawk." Yeah.
I think they say that people on cocaine run from the police and people on meth run to the police. Like that's kind of one of those things. They're like, "Hey, it's cops," like,
I'll do it. Yeah.
I want to talk to you about my taxes.
Squirrel was so messed up on bath salts.
Yeah, it was pretty
It wanted
interesting.
to eat that hawk's face off.
Zinni wonders if there's any quotes from you. We don't have any quotes. We do have a wonderful short of you that has done extremely well on Instagram and on YouTube, where Zenny farts live on stream, and it was loved by everyone. So
Yeah. It was a deep one too.
it was very, very good. So yeah, go check that out. It's wonderful. Thank you, Zenny, for your contribution.
Absolutely. But other than that, my weekend was good. I will say that I'm bummed. I think my running days might be over.
Oh no.
My left knee is. I went for a 3-mile run on Sunday, and my left knee is not feeling good. I'm able to do the hit and all the hit training from center and all that, no problem. But if I go for a run, my knee starts really acting up. So I'm a little bummed. I'm not gonna lie.
At least you got 2 marathons under your belt, so that's good.
2 what?
2 marathons.
What?
2 marathons.
What?
2 marathons. Commit to the bit that belongs to another show.
But how was your weekend?
It was okay. Plumbing problems at Casa de Cochran.
Were you constipated again?
I mean, always. We we turned on the dishwasher and just under the sink, just water came pouring out, and we realized that this has been happening for a really long time, and we didn't know it.
Oh shit!
We're like,
really?
oh, this is going to be great, and so we had to pay to have a plumber come out. They did diagnostics, and then like, all right, someone's going to be out Saturday morning. They came out, did their they were there all through Friday night till like 7:30, and then someone came back on Saturday morning to do more, to blow out the lines, and then we're probably gonna have to have them come back and rearrange the piping. So I'm like, that's awesome.
It's hard not to hear someone talk about actual plumbing and just hear a euphemism for everything.
And Slotty, no, I didn't clog the shitter. The problem is that if you really want to know,
didn't clog the shitter, he clogged the dishwasher.
Yeah, right.
The dishwasher, and that's the problem.
Listen, when I shit, it goes through every single pipe. That's how it's set up here, all right? And it got stuck over by the dishwasher, okay? So disgusting. No, I learned a lot about sump pumps. And apparently our sump pump was fucking filthy. And we have 2 sump pumps, and the one that's connected to like our washer and dryer in the basement, it's just that one works a lot. It cleans, it gets all the sort of the detergent and all that sort of stuff, and it sort of starts clogging up the lines. And it clogged up the sump pump to the point that when we would run stuff, it wouldn't go anywhere. Or if you would put a lot of pressure and a lot of water would go, no one cares. Again, I'm getting into the details. No one gives a shit. I had sump pump problems. No one needs to know this information. This is completely over detailed and whatever.
Did you take like a course on storytelling that you're now like editing in real time?
No, for some reason I was like, this is what the people want to know. And it's like, they don't want to know this. No one cares. Nobody cares about how this plumbing stuff works. So downside, we had that. Upside, I got to watch SpiderMan No Way Home with Jill and Natalie. I have seen it. I went to the theater to see it, but it came out on Alpaca goes, I want to know. Slotty goes offline. I want details. I'll give you all the details offline, guys. DM me if you want details on my sump pump issues. I legitimately do. Okay, no problem. We'll throw some time on my calendar.
Podcast on Mondays, yeah. So just tune into that.
Yeah, I'm doing a bonus episode for Patreon only where I talk about my plumbing problems. No, but I had seen Spider-Man No Way Home with Alpaca and with Noah when they came to visit, which was so much fun. And it came out on digital last week, and I was so excited because the new tradition is like Friday nights are becoming family movie night. Like, so we've done Turning Red, and then I was like, ooh, like Spider-Man's coming out. I got another one, and I was so excited to have them watch it, especially for Jill. But I gotta say, man, hey gang, just so you know, this movie came out in December. Digital's out, late March. We're gonna spoil some shit here, so
don't.
Which, by the way, was already just ridiculously spoiled up to the, like I after the movie. I go, Jill, did you know that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield were in it? She goes, oh yeah, I mean she goes, Tom Holland's terrible at keeping secrets, so I mean that's that's that. But when I went to go buy the movie on Apple,
yep,
it just had all three of them up there. I'm like, guys, what are you doing? You're not even trying. On the banner, it's like Spider-Man No Way Home. There are the three Spider-Man. I'm like, come on, guys.
Well, now Marvel's even releasing, I think, memes and stuff. Like they're doing on Twitter and Instagram. Like I've seen some official accounts like releasing. It's just now they're like, cool. We're at a point now.
I got a hand to it's fair to some degree. I would at least like to think that maybe they would want to try till digital. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe there's something at this point. Everyone's seen it, but
yeah,
it was really cool. Like I thoroughly enjoyed the film, and I told Jill like when I went and saw it, she goes, "How was it?" I go, "It was really good." I go, and it hit me in the feels. It hit me in the feels, and when it was over, she goes, "God damn it!" She goes, "I like that movie, but it made me so sad at the end." I was like, "I know, right? It's a great movie." And Natalie seemed to really enjoy it. The only problem with Natalie is Natalie's just fucking, she doesn't realize that, hey, when this is a new movie, nobody knows the answers to your questions. Yep. I do because I've seen it. But she's just constantly talking and asking. And Jill's like, shut up. I'm trying to watch the movie. And she'll do that sometimes. She'll watch movies like, Dad, what about this? And I just turn to her now. I go, Natalie. She goes, I'm sorry. I know. You don't know. I'm like, I can't answer these. If you have to ask Dad what's going on, watch and wait a few minutes to see if you can figure it out, because I don't know either.
So she's gotten to the point now where this has happened so much that you look at her and she automatically knows, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'll wait.
She goes, I'm sorry, I'm just curious. I'm like, I know. That's the point of this entertainment is you may not have all the answers right away. And here's the crazier thing. Sometimes when a movie's over, you may still not have the answers. That could be a bad thing because it's a bad movie, or it's a good thing because it makes you think.
No, that's when you got to turn to her and go, and at that point, that's when you start a podcast.
Yeah. If you have questions, come on the podcast with me and we'll talk about it, okay?
We'll talk about it.
Yeah.
I think that is, you could just letting her know that is legitimately the act of watching a movie. That's why we're all here to find out. I love that. I'll have, who's this person now? I'm like, well, I bet you we're going to find out in a little bit.
Listen, kid, we're not watching Primer, okay? Yeah. That warrants a lot of questions, okay?
Is Primer? I still haven't seen that movie with you. Have
I feel like you and I need to do like a watch party and watch it.
Well, if you recall, long time ago when we first started the podcast, that was one of the things on our docket where you're like, I want to watch Predestination and I want to watch Primer, and we're going to do a breakdown of each. We watched Predestination and did it. We never watched Primer, but I definitely think that's something that we should watch. Let me ask you this, is there anything scary about it?
No.
Innately scary?
No.
Okay. So
it's just purely sci-fi.
I would love if we could show Natalie that, and I just want to see, because here's the thing. What if, hypothetically, she gets it and she can finally explain it?
See, that's not. No, what's funny is like having Jill watch it, because Jill would, one, have no interest in watching it, and two, just watching her get more and more frustrated because she's like, I don't even want to be here, and I don't understand this. Why are you doing this to me? Like that by itself would be highly entertaining for me, just to do that. Natalie's going to be like, although I got to hand to Natalie, man, her big thing now, I've talked about this too, like when I turn on YouTube, she wants to watch these Lord of the Rings videos. And she is like enthralled with them. It's Nerd of the Rings. If you guys haven't heard, check out the YouTube channel, Nerd of the Rings. This guy does a phenomenal job of really breaking down different aspects of the, Tolkien's universe. And she will just watch a 20-minute video on like, what if Smaug survived? What would that mean? This guy gives his fan theory, and she just sits there and just watches it. And tonight, we had watched that one yesterday, and we were looking for something. She says, Dad, let's watch that one. I'm like, honey, we've already watched that. Now it's like a 15-minute video. And she's like, yeah, but I want to show it to Mom. I'm like, Natalie, Mom will never, ever, ever care about this. And Jill's like sitting 2 feet away. I go, Mom loves us, but she does not care. And Jill just started laughing. She goes, Doug, you get me. Thank you. She's like, I'm like, I got you back. Like, you will never, ever care about whether or not Smaug, if he lived, what would that do to the universe? You do not care.
It's wonderful when the kid starts realizing, different things with different parents. Yeah. Okay. Like, Mom will not, if I want to be anything, if I want to nerd out, I got to go to Dad. If I want to do something related to books or one of Jill's other many interests, I go to Jill. And I I can split this and I can find my audience. It's such an important lesson to learn.
It's so funny because she would just turn and ask Jill questions about like the Eternals or something like that, and she's like, "You gotta go ask your dad." Like I don't
just
know.
Thinking that parents have the answers. Well, if Dad's got the answers, Mom must know this too.
Oh yeah, or games that we're playing. She'll be like, "Mom," she's like, "I don't know. Talk to your dad. I don't know what's going on with that." But I thoroughly, and sometimes I've told Natalie too with movies, I'm like, hey, if you get scared, just let me know. We'll skip it. I told her to suck it up through Spider-Man because she got the lizard freaked her out for some reason, like a couple of times, especially at the end. It's like, Dad, he's like, Dad, I think I want to skip this. I turned around, I'm like, sorry, kid, you're going to have to get through this because this is really important. Like, I can't skip through this. There's a lot happening. It's really important to the story. Deal with it.
I love that. Dude, it really was a good movie. I know we have this slotted second, but I'd say we're on it. Let's move it up.
Yeah. Can you explain to everyone why you think this belongs in the bottom half of the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. One word. Strange.
Because I think your initial reaction to this was like, you said, it's not my favorite, I think was what you said.
Did I? Are we doing a bit? Or did you?
No, I've kind of made this a bit because you seem to have like a really muted response to it, to the movie.
No, was it this one? I see. I can't get into that with you now because you haven't.
I haven't seen the Batman.
I have a lot of thoughts on the Batman.
Yeah, Joe, we're talking No Way Home.
Has that hit Australia yet, Jared?
I know Jared saw it like right when it came out. He's good.
Yeah, okay. I don't know. I'd have to watch it. I have not watched it as recently. It's been like a month since I've watched it, or over a month. So
I've seen it twice in a month.
The version that I watched wasn't the best version, so I'm not sure I picked everything up. Might have been pirated. I'm not going to admit to anything. But you've seen it twice in a month? Yes. Yeah, so you definitely have way more on it than I do. Here's the thing. I liked it from the aspect of it was exactly what everyone wanted. Like, it was all the fanboys who got in their own ways, and we were like, you guys are going to be disappointed. Turns out they weren't. Turns out Feige's just a fucking liar. And absolutely those two were in it. And they brought everyone together, and I thought all of that was really well done. I was super bummed that they killed off May. Interesting because we never really hear about Uncle Ben in Tom Holland's universe. So I guess May is that's the loss he's suffering, even though theoretically he had also lost Ben. We never really heard about it.
I look at it. My big issue with the film is like I almost wish Into the Spider-Verse didn't exist in our universe, because that movie did such a good job with the idea of these other Spider-Men and Spider people existing, and it did retread some of the same ground. Not to take anything away from Into the Spider-Verse, that movie's phenomenal, hands down one of my favorite films of all time. Yeah. And this one is good too, but I'm like, part of me is like, yeah, we've already seen this. We've seen this cool thing where they're like, Uncle Ben, like they're having this powerful moment. I'm like, I know, but I've already seen this. It's Spider-Verse where Miles is so upset, and they're like, Miles, we understand. He's like, you'll never understand. They're like, we are literally the only people that totally 100% understand exactly what you're going through.
Right.
And it was a great moment. Like, same thing in Into the Spider-Verse or No Way Home, where the same thing happened with Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield. Now, I got to give them credit, because I thought it was just going to be like cameos. I mean, they had screen time. They had some good screen time.
I assumed it was going to be the last 5 minutes, the portal was going to open. They're like, what's going on in here? They stick their heads through and then they're gone. But I was legitimately surprised that they actually, they were able to get them to agree to fully come back. And also that Tobey Maguire still fit in the suit. Good for him.
Yeah, phenomenal. It was such honestly, this movie raised all of the Sony ships. Like, it took all of those, because honestly, I don't love the Tobey Maguire movies. I think they were great for when they came out. Mm-hmm. I think when you go back and watch them now, they're incredibly campy, and they don't. Again, it was like the first X-Men movie. They were part of that class that
they were figuring it out.
They helped push it up. They helped move it to the next level. I love
superhero movies a legitimate cinematic genre.
They made so that you couldn't ignore them because they were such box office draws that people were like Batman was another one, you know, where people were like, oh shit, people want to see this stuff. It became a huge success because of it. So props to that. Props to Sam Raimi for making that a thing and making that happen. I mean, I appreciate what it's done, but they're not great. And then I love Andrew Garfield. I loved him as Spider-Man. I loved Emma Stone as Gwen Stacy. I loved what they were trying to do. The Amazing Spider-Man movies are incredibly forgettable and boring, and they're not great. They're really not great.
Again, nothing of through no fault of Andrew Garfield's or of the cast. They did amazing with what they had to work with.
Yeah.
But it was either the filmmaker and or the studio that wasn't able to deliver on that. I think to what Jared said here is one of my big things. It's great and he loves it, but it requires so much knowledge to watch. It's tricky when watching a film. I feel like, and you kind of have to split the difference here because you could argue the same thing about any of the sequels, like any of the Thor sequels, any of the Iron Mans. Like you've got to the further we go into this, the more knowledge you have to fully enjoy it. So it's very hard in a sequel to be able to just jump in cold and thoroughly enjoy it. This kind of took that to the nth degree and really dialed it up. So that's very, very hard. I think the only other thing was it did feel like, and I know I'm kind of speaking out of both sides of my mouth here, but while I liked it for all of the fan service, it was so incredibly loaded with fan service. You know what I mean? Like so it did feel like it took away a little bit of the substance of the movie for me because of that. I'm just like, okay, cool. So we bring in, okay, now we're this and now we're engineering this to work with that. No, I remember when that happened. And like, it was a little convoluted, I think.
I think if there's going to be a downfall of the MCU, it's going to be that if people thought, oh wait, you shouldn't go see, you shouldn't go see Avengers 2 without seeing The Winter Soldier. You know, I remember when I had a coworker who was like, yeah, I went and saw Avengers 2. I'm like, have you seen Winter Soldier? He goes, no. I'm like, you can't do that. You must have been really confused about why Hydra still existed. Like what, you know?
Right.
Now I think it's going to be even more complicated because so much of this stuff exists in the Disney Plus universe. I mean, even when you watch the trailer for Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness and he goes and talks to Wanda, he mentions Westview.
You're like, wait, what?
If you don't know you may not know what they're talking about. Like Jill hasn't seen Vision, WandaVision. Like, she doesn't necessarily get that reference. So I think that will be the thing that maybe undoes or makes it more of a barrier to entry as opposed to, have you seen these other movies? Because some of the stuff can be self-contained and enjoyable, but you won't get as much enjoyment out of it. Before it was more of a treat of like, ooh, here's a piece of candy that I get. I can enjoy it because X, Y, and Z. Whereas now,
it's becoming a full-time job.
it's almost like a requirement. You need a prerequisite. Like if you don't see it, you may not really understand what's going on.
Well, and if you don't watch this now, you don't it's not just, it's this. If you don't watch this, you won't understand why. Like they're cracking open the multiverse, which is allowing them or going to allow them to do so much bonkers shit. Like in the trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, we see Patrick Stewart.
Allegedly.
Presumably, allegedly. But again, like what a natural way for Kevin Feige to be like, cool, now's the time we're sliding this universe in. Like this is there's no better way to manufacture a slot for them to come right in.
Yeah.
That being said, they can do anything they want now, and it's only going to get hard. If you haven't seen Spider-Man, you don't realize that technically Loki. They cracked open the multiverse, and now Strange broke down the borders. And so it's just this one giant domino. So it is only going to get, from this point forward, it's only going to get harder and harder to piece all these things together.
I think it will be more difficult to enjoy these films as self-contained pieces of content without the threads. Because when, Kang the Conqueror shows up and you're like, who is this guy? You're like, well, did you watch Loki?
Right.
You know, I don't have Disney Plus. You
Yeah.
you're gonna miss some stuff. That's for sure. But I love Tom Holland in this movie. I think Tom Holland may have been at his best. Just his emotions, I don't know, man. Like I just feel like he's so much fun to watch as Spider-Man, but I feel like this one he just took it to the next level. Like that when May dies and when he's up there and he's, you know, there's some great, just powerful moments. I loved when Tom Holland when Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire show up. That's a really emotional scene. I loved Andrew Garfield still being haunted by what happened to Gwen. Yep. And that scene where he saves MJ, like, man, did that hit my heart. Where he catches her and he lands and he's on the verge of tears and he's like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, "Yeah." Oh man, that was so brutal. Again, like they brought so much to that, and again elevated those other franchises so much more, because what's great is we got to elevate them and then they got to leave and we don't have to visit them again. We know they were like almost making fun of it, you know, when they're talking about all the things that they face. He's like, there was some dude in a rhino suit and, you know, just talking about all the shit that they've seen. Jamie Foxx was really cool. A incantation of this character, which was great. Willem Dafoe was awesome. Yeah, Alfred Molina was great. You know, all that stuff was really, really enjoyable to see, and the sacrifice at the end of it too that Peter makes, you know, and seeing him actually commit to being like every single movie in his franchise, Tom Holland's franchise, has been Peter living in two worlds. We see him in the first movie just like, I want to go to Homecoming and hang out with this girl that I like. It's like, yeah, well, her dad's actually the Vulture and it's doing this stuff. And he's like, oh, but I want to be part of Stark and be part of the Avengers. It's trying to figure that stuff out. And then, you know, the next movie, he's, he's trying to be on summer trip with his classmates so he can get to know MJ while also stopping Mysterio. And then he's fighting, you know, fucking Thanos and he's doing all this sort of stuff. It's like, he's always had his foot in both worlds, and this movie ends with him committing, making the ultimate sacrifice and deciding, this is what I want to do. I want to be Spider-Man. And that was such a... If there are no more Spider-Man movies, what a beautiful end to this story. Right. Like, just a wonderful way to wrap it up. And he's decided this is what he's going to do. It's sad. It's an incredible sacrifice and very powerful to me. Because you're also thinking, like, no one's going to remember that he fought Thanos.
Well, that's a big... From a logistic standpoint, though, I have a few questions. Because, so it's not just no one will remember... Like, okay, so this is... I think I enjoyed the movie. I think what I was reeling from at the time was practical. Justin was creeping out, and I was like, hold on. You mean to tell me no one remembers that Peter Parker is a person, so he doesn't have like social security, like there's no record of him, period. He's a vagabond now. He's just wandering the streets because he said no one will remember you.
Well, I guess that makes sense because because I mean he went to school with MJ and Ned, right,
and it's not just they'll know. So but they remember that there is a Spider-Man. So, like, it's such a specific... So, no one will remember who Peter Parker is, but Spider-Man is still around because we still see him... Like, at the end, it was that... Right? So, the other thing is, what happened in MJ and Ned's brains? Because they remember being in the fight on the Statue of Liberty the night before, and they don't remember his face, or... Like, there's just so many... I guess that's...
I feel like our roles have reversed here.
Yeah, I'm like, there's too many inconsistencies. How does this work? Strange. No. How does this work?
That's a good point. Yeah, no, I'd have to go read the fine print on that and see what's going on. Like, that's interesting.
You knew, so you were. Is it not weird to you that you can't? You were in his giant battle, but you can't recall the person's face at all?
I mean, it is magic.
Did you think his mask was on?
I mean, it's magic, so we can assume.
We need logic, Doug. Practical logic.
We need magical logic.
Magic.
I also love the cameo from Charlie Cox's Daredevil. What a lovely, fun.
That was great. And again, another one where they were like, no, he's not in this, guys. Yes, he is.
When that part came up, I just turned and looked at Jill. I was like, watching her watch it and see her go, oh, that's cool. I'm like, I know, right? Isn't that awesome?
Which is so lovely because now that they're part of the Disney Plus universe and they got, it's, who knows? We might sit now. It allows anyone can show up now. We've ripped the fabric of multiverses wide open. So anything is possible.
Yes.
Anything. The other thing that I enjoyed but did not enjoy was at the end of Venom 2, they teased Venom going to the MCU and showing up and be like, ooh, oh fuck, man, he's gonna be here. And then at the end of this, he just disappears back to his own universe. And it's like, wait, what was this then? Because it seems like it was a lot of effort to set up something that never happened.
But here's the thing. The symbiote is now in the official MCU. Because when he disappears,
that's true.
Piece of the symbiote's there. So now...
Come on, Hardy. Come on.
I appreciate the creativity of being like, we're going to connect these two end credit sequences from these two different franchises. I think that's pretty creative. I also turned to Jill. I go, for the record, you will have no idea what this mid-credit sequence is at all. When it was over, she looked at me. She goes, yeah. She goes, was that Tom Hardy? I go, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. She's like, okay.
Absolutely.
I'm like, I can explain it, but it's not going to make it any better,
I would love it if Natalie just piped them and goes, actually, Mom, let me tell you what it is.
Yeah. I kind of explained, I go, in this other mid-credit sequence, yada, 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 and everything. I was like, it's kind of neat, but yeah. I mean, who knows? I think it's probably just some potential threads they can tug on if they want, moving forward, which was fun. But all around...
I don't think... If I said it, I was mistaken. I was mistaken in saying it. I don't believe that it was at the bottom of my...
No, I definitely exaggerated that.
Okay, good. I was like, man, if I said that, I must have been super drunk.
Yeah, I was way drunk.
It was, I would say that it wasn't at the top of my list for all-time best Marvel movies, but it was, I thoroughly enjoyed the movie.
I rank it up there with Endgame in that it did such a good job with its fan service. It was a constructive fan service, unlike Star Wars. Fucking Star Wars.
Stuff is stupid, stuff is dumb. Doug hates stuff.
Clear my fucking schedule. No, this was like a creative way of attaching to some threads, and again, making everything better. I feel like the fan service in Star Wars is like, do you want to hate? Do you want to really just hate your nostalgia? Do you want to just throw it in the oven and turn it up to 1,000 degrees and watch it burn alive as it squeals in front of you? Because we're going to do that. Because we're going to over-explain everything. And you're going to hate what you're about to see. Whereas with this, it was like, hey, we had these other franchises that were and we connected them and we made it better now. And it's like, wow, how cool is that? It's so much fun. And the acting was great. The action was fun. It was so cool. It was very interesting. It was emotional. And it was, so good. So good. So good. Yeah, I'm very much looking forward to what comes next. But I do have a little bit of hesitation in my heart about the complexity about what's about to happen. I think it's great to do the multiverse. It's a fun challenge. It's a bold move, but it could get really wild and really confusing. So, best of luck. I hope it works out.
I do wonder. Let's take a walk down the old timeline here. Let's jump into the future. Do you think this is a very surgically engineered way to lead us into potential reboots?
It's definitely a possibility. I mean, if you want to talk about multiverse and how that stuff, I mean, you could get real creative with how this stuff works. If this is how you get the X-Men, obviously. This is how you get the Fantastic Four. Sure. I think they're really Disney and Marvel's really trying hard to explore other characters. We've got Moon Knight. We've got Miss Marvel.
Right.
We've got all sorts of stuff happening. My understanding is like there's not going to be another traditional Avengers movie.
Sure, until there is.
Until they're, right now I don't think they're planning on being like, yeah, here it comes again. So,
right. Well, they've got so many other.
Yeah.
Oh wait, are you saying not a team up movie?
I don't know.
The West Coast Avengers, the New Avengers, they've got a different.
My concern is that this is going to turn into the insanity that is the comic books.
Exactly.
It's going to get so convoluted and disastrous and weird that is going to be the undoing of the MCU. Is kind of what Jared was alluding to, in that it is going to be connected in all the bad ways.
Well, can you imagine like we have the fortune. We're in that. I look at this the same way as like Bond or something. It's such a seemingly heavy lift. If I'm like, I want to go back and watch I've got to catch up on 25 movies. Jesus Christ. What a thing in front of me.
What an awesome weekend, I think is what you're saying.
It's exactly what I mean by that. But like any franchise like that, or we've talked about where I would love to go back and read some of the comic books and actually get to know these characters in their true forms. But that's just a daunting task. It is completely, in my mind, I'm like, that's unrealistic. I don't have that I can't commit to that because it is 80 years worth of material. And how the fuck do you even begin? And I know there have been resets and restarts throughout the years, but this is one of those things where we are fortunate because we were there at the beginning and we were able to ride it through from the beginning and watch it in chronological order and keep up. Anyone who is now coming of age, who may not have seen any of the previous movies, if they want to jump in now, you almost have to go back and rewatch. So the further down the road this goes, that, like you were saying, that barrier of entry, it is a very daunting task to join the family, to join the fan club.
Yeah, no, it's very true. And again, if it unravels from this point forward, I won't be mad. What we had for 11 years, with Iron Man through Infinity Endgame, like that will forever be a joy that I got to experience, and I will never be mad with what comes after this, because as far as I'm concerned, that is one self-contained book.
Yep.
And anything that comes after is gravy. And if it falls apart, hey, at least we had those 11 awesome years. I'm not going to be mad at that. That's fantastic.
We also have to remember, too, this is something that's never been attempted before in cinematic history, to connect this tightly, to connect this many different properties. It's an experiment, really. So if it does go awry, okay, that's what experiments are for. They had a really good run, and they went further than a lot of people thought they were going to be able to go.
And they made so much money.
Oh, my God.
So much money.
Yeah.
So much money.
So much money.
Speaking of so much money, I hope you guys have some money, because Netflix is saying, hey, y'all, better be watching out how many passwords you be sharing with each other, motherfuckers.
That is what Netflix be saying.
Netflix is testing login warnings to curb unauthorized password sharing. Dun, dun, dun. That's right. So this is interesting article from Variety. It says that some users, they're testing this out. They're saying if you don't live with the owner of this account, you need your own account to keep watching, which has sparked some people being like, what the fuck?
Wait a second. I've been stealing this for years.
It says, per Netflix terms of service, a customer's account for the streaming service may not be shared with individuals beyond your household. So I've seen some people getting a little cross. They're a little perturbed about this. And I think obviously Netflix's argument is like, we want to make sure that stuff's not getting stolen here. We don't want account to be compromised, which, to be fair, there is a grain of truth in that, right? You don't want compromised accounts because that could lead to other security issues and things like that.
In theory, sure.
But
some of this, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I think you're going to say what I was about to say.
Some of the statistics that they gave in regards to how much of this stealing is going on. They say nearly 40% of Americans say that they use a streaming login and password that doesn't belong to them. Netflix being so 51% of those who have a streaming service admitted they let others use it. Netflix being the most popular. Of the respondents to this survey, 72% of Netflix owners or Netflix account owners say they let someone else use their account. So if they have 203.7 million global users, 72%, you could expound on that initial survey, and 72% of 203 million people are just letting others use their passwords. And so Netflix is looking at this going, if we can convert those 72% into, or however, the 40% that said they use it, if we can convert that into new users, our shareholders going to be real happy.
Well, because they mentioned about that in the article here that they're kind of meeting saturation in their market, right? There's not really a whole lot more they can pull in for subs. So they're like, well, if there's several people that are just mooching off of this, maybe we could sort of capitalize on that. And they said that they do have technology to sort of curb this, which is that the standard plan in the U.S. allows just 2 concurrent HD streams per account, which makes it impractical for sharing among multiple people. The $18 a month premium tier allows up to 4 streams per account. So the idea being that if you have a lot of people on different devices using this, it does create complications for people to be able to do that. But you and I were kind of talking about this in our production meeting, and I understand both sides of this in that if we take it from the perspective of just a standard, like back in the 80s and 90s, we paid for a cable package, you'd come over to my house and you'd watch TV. Like as a family of 4 or 5 or whatever you are, you'd sit around and you'd watch it. It would be within reason to be like, hey, I have up to 4 people or up to 5 people on my account for this, because how's that any different than all of these people sitting around in a TV, or like in a room around a TV watching it? Once you exceed that amount, it starts to get a little fishy for me.
Yeah.
Where people are, just doling this stuff out like that. It gets a little to me where my morality kicks in, and I'm like, I don't know how I feel about that. But I think the only time I've ever my brother lent me his HBO Go password, so because he was like, dude, you have to watch Game of Thrones. I was like, well, I don't have HBO. I was like, whatever. He goes, no, here's my account, watch it. And I watched, I think, the first season on there. That was like the only time I ever used it. But I've never shared with my family is so small. It's just my mom, dad, my brother, and I haven't been like, hey, everybody, let's all share an account. So I haven't shared with a lot of people. I know some folks do, and I think as long as you're doing it within reason, I don't have a problem with it, But if you have some sort of complicated structure where, where people are just trading this amongst multiple people, that's where I start being like, guys, just fucking pay for it. And if you're going to tell me, well, I can't afford it, well, then you don't get to fucking watch it. All right. that argument will never hold water with me, where people, 2 parts of it. One, people are like, oh, I can't afford it, so I'm going to steal it. Tough shit.
Doesn't work that way with jewelry. Doesn't work that way with food. Doesn't work. So just because this is an intangible thing or an intangible thing, doesn't make any difference.
No, does not give you permission to do it just because you don't have the funds for it. Secondly, the argument of, well, this is just a large corporation and they have plenty of money, so fuck them. Like, listen, corporations are not good. I understand that. I get that, okay? But the core principle of you're taking something that doesn't belong to you and you're not paying for it, that is theft, and I cannot get over that. To the end of my days, my moral compass is like, whether this is a 100% profitable company or if it's a startup or if it's just some dude, if someone makes something and you take it without paying for it, that is stealing. Yep. And I'm not okay with that. I don't like that sort of stuff. So I've been through multiple workplaces. I knew a guy I worked with who was an actor who pirated movies. And I was like, dude, don't you think this goes against what you're doing? He's like, yeah, but the actors get fucked. The crew gets fucked all the time. It doesn't even affect them. It's the production. Like, it's the company, you know, like they have plenty of money. Or the kid I interned with at a record label who still pirated music because he's like, well, I can't afford it right now, but once I get a real job, then I'll buy it. I'm like, you work at a record label, man. Like, you're stealing music? What the fuck? Then you don't get the music. Tough shit.
Right.
Like, I just will never understand that mentality. I'm not judging people. Whatever, man. People are going to do what people are going to do. For me, that's where I lie with this. And similarly with Netflix, it's like, listen, do you want to watch Netflix? Then you got to pay for it. Do all the people live in your one household? Are you guys want to share an account? That's fine. That's totally cool. But are you like sharing it out to 10 people? Like, no, don't do that. That's not cool.
I'm torn between these two things because the logic side of me and the business owner side of me fully in on the side of it's theft. Like, if you can't pay for it, you don't get the thing. And if you're sharing if you're buying something and sharing it to 10 people, then you are letting all those people essentially steal this service. And that's wrong. It's not right. And the idea of, well, it's a big company. Well, give me a quantitative, give me a numbered threshold. Where is that cutoff? Or qualitative? Which one would that be? Quantitative. I think that's quant.
Give me a number.
Give me a number. What is the threshold for, like, well, this company is a big company? Is it once they hit $1 million revenue, $1 billion revenue? Where is that? Because if you're going to use that argument, there has to be some cutoff for big company, little company. It's okay. It's not okay. Right? Like, you've got to have a cutoff. Now, that being said, I'm very morally flexible. And so, do I do this? I won't admit it on the podcast. I'm going to leave it there. But I understand that side of it too, where, you know, I don't know, maybe let's say completely hypothetical. I'm going on record and saying this is completely hypothetical. But maybe I pay for one streaming service and a buddy of mine, we'll call him Sam Cook, pays for another streaming service. And maybe we swapped logins so we each have both streaming. So maybe that happens. I'm just saying, I wouldn't be necessarily opposed to that happening. Do I consider it to be wrong? Yes, I'll cop to that. Absolutely. I'm a little bit more morally flexible on the point.
See, something like that also it's weird, right? Because again, this stuff is so abstract in that for some reason you guys each paying for paying for a service and then sharing is not that egregious to me, because I think for me it's the number of people that are involved with it. Like, let's say he gets HBO Max, you get Netflix, you guys trade it. And odds are you guys aren't watching this stuff at the same time, so that you're not going to run. Even if you were, it probably works up to 2 devices altogether. To some degree, it's like it almost is kind of a wash to some degree, because you're both paying for something, right? Mm-hmm. The price is relatively the same.
Right.
So
and if it allows for that number of users to be on there, yeah.
So to some extent, I'm like, it kind of works, right?
Sure.
It would be almost as if you would go over to his place to watch movies, whatever. It's to some degree it makes sense.
Good. Come to the dark side, Doug. Good.
But again, because it's the number of people involved with this, because there's got to be a reasonable amount of number that you can assume are going to be, that are included within this service for which it counts. And if he's choosing you over his family, then that's cool. Like,
I win.
You win.
Yeah.
But if he's like, oh yeah, my parents, and then my aunts and uncles, and then my cousins, and then all of them are doing this, and then I'll give it to you too. It's like, that's
another. There was one when Disney Plus was just first dropped. There was a group of people at my work that were like, all right, well, let's all go in on it together. And if it's, what is it, like at the time, I think it was $8 a month. And they were like, I think there was maybe there was 8 people. They're like, it's $1 a month. Everyone can get, and I'm like, that's It's too many people. I don't want to do that. That feels wrong.
Yeah.
But another buddy of mine and myself, we split the cost. We each split the cost of a completely different streaming service, and it's just him and I who are in there. So again, we're both paying for half of the streaming service, and it's just the two of us using it. So while that is technically probably against the terms and conditions, I still am comfortable saying that they're getting money.
Yeah.
And we're not abusing the system.
Agree. Like that's where I think it's great, but at the same time, that seems acceptable to me that you two are splitting it. You're both sharing it.
Yeah.
You may not be in the same household, but you're both paying for it, and
now, from a technical standpoint, is it still wrong? I mean, yes.
Yeah. Are you? Yeah, I guess. But yeah, I don't know, man. It's definitely a weird area, but
is it a violation of the terms and conditions? Yes. Is it wrong? Meh.
Yeah, if you guys we're not paying for it altogether.
Right.
I mean, that's where it comes to me is when someone's like, essentially their intentions are, I don't want to pay for this, but I want to enjoy the content. Go fuck yourself. And also, I'll say on the other side too, if a company makes it so difficult to consume their content that the path of least resistance and the path of ease is to pirate, then I understand why it happens. Like, for example, movies that would come out in the U.S. and they wouldn't show up to other parts of the world for 10 months. Like,
right.
I get it. Everyone else is enjoying this shit, and they're like, man, fuck this. I want to see it when it releases too. Like,
maybe that would have worked 20 years ago, but the world is so fucking interconnected now that doesn't sit anymore. Yeah, you've got to update it. This goes back to us telling like AMC and everybody, you've got to update. You've got to update your business model to be with the times. That's the same kind of thing. If you can't hold out for 10 months for other parts of the world, because that's just not what the world is anymore.
No, it's not going to work, and people are going to imagine if the Australia got Avengers Endgame first, and we had to wait 10 months to watch it. Fuck that, man. Yeah. We're gonna fucking find it and we're gonna watch it. That's if the company cannot meet the demand or it sets their system up so that it doesn't allow for demand, so therefore people want it so bad they're going to pirate. Then that's something within the organization that I think needs to be fixed. And I understand the piracy. I don't necessarily condone it, but I understand it. And this situation with Netflix, I'm like, listen, pay for your shit. And if it's within reason, I'm like, I don't mind people sharing it. It's fine for me or whatever. But if you all are trying to get out there to enjoy this content without paying for it, you're wrong. You're wrong. Pay for your shit the way that you want to. And if you don't want to pay for it, then you don't get to watch it. Right. That's how it goes. Like, you don't get to do both. Sorry.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that I think is interesting is that Netflix, and this has always been my question about services like this, is that there's a finite amount of growth that you can get with a subscription-based company, because either you sign more people or you raise the price on the people that are already subscribing. So there's only two ways to grow. And so with this, they've already raised their prices multiple times over the last few years. I think the normal, your standard service, which streams only, I found, I think it's like $15.59 or something like that now. That only streams 1080 HD. That's not a 4K stream. You've got to pay $20 a month to get the 4K stream, and then you've got 4 people and yada yada. I would argue I have an issue with the quality of. I feel like if you're not offering 4K, you're ripping people off. But that's another. We can put a pin in that and come back to it. But raising the price to that amount, and I was irked when it came, but then I'm like, well, I guess there's only one way for them to make money. But now them cracking down on all these shared things, if they can convert all of these people sharing, and they've recently raised the prices in 2022, their company's just going to fucking explode over the next 2-3 quarters.
Yeah, but then they're going to run into the same problem, which is. Because, I mean, I think the problem then is the concept of constant growth. It's just impossible. Like, just be happy with, let's say we get 50% or 25% of those 72%. Let's be happy with 300 million subscribers. Like,
Right.
that's a lot of good, solid, consistent money. Like,
Yeah.
and then work on keeping them by generating content. Like,
Right. I think that's the crux of it for me. And this is where, like I said, Slotty always goes into like capitalism and how gross it is. And I ride the line because there's part of me that understands like the very, very root fundamental concept of capitalism. I think I'm in agreement with, but where it's taken and how it's manipulated is where it gets super gross. And I think the fact that the board members are always going to clamor for how did we do better this quarter than last quarter, that leads to some kind of gross shit, because at some point, you know, like if Netflix is bringing in $25 billion a year in revenue, at what point do you sit back and go, look, that's fucking great money. Like, come on. Like the fact that there's this constant need for more and more and more and more and growth and growth and growth and growth, it starts to get you into some weird areas. And I think the more that happens, the more that you butt up with the consumer and the more that you run into stuff like this. And it's almost, in a way, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. And
that's all I had to say about that.
It's not good. It's not a good prophecy.
It's just, you know what? It's not practical.
You got the questions, we got the answers. All you do is ask. Practical, 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 practical. Ask Practical Doug.
Pew, pew, pew.
That time again. For those of you who are new to the program, there's a tiny Doug that lives inside Big Doug. And that tiny Doug is named Practical Doug. And he helps guide Big Doug in a lot of life's adventures, we'll say. And our wonderful fans, and you know what? Even if you're not a fan, you can still ask Practical Doug a question. But a lot of our fans like to hashtag Ask Practical Doug. And you can ask him, too, about anything in life. Is it something about your finances? Do you need advice on something? Is it love life? Is it just you want to know, you know, why don't fish, you know, walk on land? Ask Practical Doug. He'll tell you. He's got an answer for everything. It's amazing. So you can, on our Discord, you can ask Practical Doug. Any social media, hashtag Ask Practical Doug. If you join us live for our streams on Tuesdays, you can ask in the chat here. This one has been sitting in our a list of Ask Practical Dougs for a while, and I'm kind of curious about it. So this one is from Slotty, and he says, you're filling out a job application, and you see this question. You've been given an elephant. You can't give it away or sell it. What would you do with the elephant? Practical Doug, what would you do with that elephant?
It's very simple. You build a business around this elephant. And that could be something as simple as elephant rides, right? You want to be humane, right? You want to make sure that it's happy and everything like that. But you essentially have this elephant and you can use it to, I don't know, ferry elderly people around, right? You can use it to take kids to school. It's the new school bus, you know, take the elephant school bus
I like
to school.
The image of ferrying elderly people around on the back of an elephant.
Getting them up there is a real treat.
I'm in love with it.
You know, you could use it to, you know, help out with people around the neighborhood if they need to, hey, I need to trim this tree. Cool, we'll get the elephant. It'll use its trunk to grab the tree branches, you know, as they're coming down. It can help lift some things up. Great deterrent against coyotes. We got a shitload of coyotes out by my house. I see them at least once a week these days. There's a family of 3 of them. Put an elephant in your yard, those coyotes are not coming. Tell you what. Tell you what. You could use it as a great opportunity. As you know, you have this wonderful elephant. You treat it kindly. You can use it as an opportunity to educate society about elephants. You know, whenever I go to Disney World and I go to the on the safari, they're always talking about how elephants are hunted for their tusks. You know, and the ivory and things like that. You could use it as an opportunity to show people, like, look, this is a real animal. You don't need its ivory. You don't need its tusks. This is Carl the elephant. And Carl needs you to love him. And don't hurt Carl, all right? Because otherwise, Carl's going to remember. And Carl's going to trample your fucking car. He will find you, and he will kill you and your family, and he won't feel bad about it. Recognize. Did you know that's a real thing? There was a story of, I want to say it was lions who attacked and killed an elephant's, like a young elephant.
Okay.
And the elephants found where these lions were staying and waited until the pack left to go hunt, and they trampled their children, killed their children. So like they like calculated revenge and murdered. Like, elephants are incredibly intelligent and emotional creatures. Do not fuck with them.
They found out where those lions were staying.
Yeah. And these giant animals just waited.
Behind rocks.
And they're like, when they leave to hunt, we strike. What do you mean when they leave? We're kidding their children. Trunk for a trunk.
Can I tell you something, Doug?
Yeah.
Can I tell you something?
Mm-hmm.
You got the job.
Thank you.
You got the job.
I forgot this was for an interview.
Yep. Congratulations. You start on Monday.
Nice. What am I doing?
Bring the elephant.
Yes. I ride in.
Yes. Yeah, I used to be able to do it. Can't anymore.
Yeah.
Well, before we move on to the final segment here, I've got a joke for you. Doug, why do elephants paint their testicles red?
I don't know.
So they can hide in cherry trees. Have you ever seen an elephant in a cherry tree?
No.
No, it's working. What's the loudest noise in the jungle? A giraffe eating from a cherry tree.
God damn it. God damn it. You connected those so seamlessly.
Welcome to the throwdown.
Oh, you bastard. Like, you were just going from, like, one to the other. You're like, I won't let Doug rest. He wants to laugh. He doesn't want to.
He's on the fence.
We're gonna
I got
keep
him on
going.
the ropes.
We're going to keep going. God
Rope
damn
and
it.
dope.
Well played, sir. Well played.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Whew. Ah.
Oh, boy. Dougie. Throwdown time.
Oh, boy. This is going to be interesting. Oh, my. Whew. All right. Get out the drum roll.
I like the explanation with our...
This week's Throwdown is a culinary throwdown featuring Gordon Ramsay versus Bobby Flay. Oh, boy.
And now our council puts links for us on our shared document, our production document here, and they sometimes will add little notes. These links are just for... So if you listen to previous episodes, the sites they usually send us to are atrocious sites that are wrought with pop-ups and written with just essence of pure nerd. And they just said, now these links are just for height and weight and whatever else you can use.
I love it.
How they've learned that we're not super fans of these links.
So it says, according to the internet, Gordon wants Bobby to accept an Iron Chef challenge, but Bobby's been ducking him. Ooh.
It doesn't. Here's the thing. I've heard things about Bobby Flay, about kind of how he's a little bit
What's that
whiny.
mean? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, he actually didn't Bobby Flay used to have a show called Throwdown, I think.
No, beat Bobby Flay.
A beatboxing Bobby Flay is what I thought you were going to say.
Beatboxing Bobby Flay. Yeah, I don't do that either. No elephant noises.
No, it's called Throwdown with Bobby Flay.
Was it?
Yeah.
Because he's got one that's currently on called Beat Bobby Flay, but that's
beatbox again. I'd heard beatboxing Bobby Flay is what I wanted you to say.
That's what I'm saying, Doug.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was the whole show called Throwdown.
Okay, fair enough. Well, we're ripping Bobby Flay off directly.
Apparently.
Look, and as far as in case he's listening, I don't have it on good resource that or good authority that he is whiny. I've heard things through the grapevine. That's all I'm saying. Bobby Flay is probably a wonderful person, and I respect him greatly as a chef. There we go. Got that out of the way. Now we won't get sued.
Wow, Bobby Flay has been married and divorced 3 times.
It's probably because he's so whiny.
As you're like, just want to make this clear that I, don't think anything about it. Oh, that's why he's a whiny little guy. He's a whiny baby. I
thought he was smaller. I don't trust this website. I thought Bobby Flay was like 5'2".
I love how they give the exact weight, like 172 pounds. Like, when did you guys pull that weight in? Like, when did you do the weigh-ins?
Fighting out of New York City.
Bobby Flay. Oh, they're both close in age. They're both in their. Bobby's 52 years old. Gordon's 55. Gordon's a little bit taller. He's 6'2". Bobby's 5'11". They're both Christians, so that's good.
Gordon was born in Renfrewshire.
Renfrewshire. I love this. Richie goes, Gordon Ramsay, hands down. Gordon would swear him to death. There is an intensity to Gordon Ramsay that I don't think Bobby... I mean, Bobby could also seem like the guy that's like the serial killer behind the scenes,
True.
The guy that sort of like keeps it all together, but, when he goes back to his dressing room, he's basically Dexter. He's got everything laid out in plastic, and he's a
Sagittarius, though, Doug.
He is, and... Ramsey's a Scorpio, or according to this website, a Scopio.
Is that what it says?
Yeah.
That's the Skeleton King. I'm a Scorpio.
I feel like Gordon Ramsay's almost it's almost like the easy choice. It just seems.
Yeah, I mean, Gordon seems to have the pure, unadulterated rage within him.
Yeah. And the thing is, I think he wears that on his sleeves. And I think Bobby is cold and calculated in a way that he seems like serial killer-esque in that regard. Not saying that he is a serial killer, all right? But he's gone through 3 wives. And their location, I don't know where they are.
I mean, undisclosed, really.
Yeah, right?
Look, we know Bobby's from New York. Richie, do you know anyone from Renfrewshire?
Johnstone?
Johnstone, Renfrewshire. Renfrewshire.
It's like Worcestershire, but different.
Do you know anyone from there? And are they as mean as New Yorkers can be?
Oh, so he's from like right outside Glasgow.
Gordon?
Yeah, that's where Renfrewshire is. In Johnstone?
Glasgow, Scotland?
Yeah.
Really?
He's like, Rich is like, never heard of it.
Never heard of it. Well, it must be a very, very, very dangerous place then.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just west of Edinburgh.
Interesting. All right. Well, look, then I'm 100% giving this to Gordon Ramsay. If that's the case, Ramsay, not only is he intense, he's got the fury of a Scotsman behind him.
Not to mention that, I mean, I think if I remember correctly, Scotland, especially in some of those cities like Glasgow, like are known for like knife attacks, and they often teach people how to defend themselves. I think I remember seeing something of just self-defense classes, like a lot of muggings and stuff happen. So that guy grew up in the shit,
That's true. Yeah. Well, the thing is, too, he's got the reach. He's 6'2", 196. Bobby Flay is 5'11". We're gonna say 5'10". 172. Like Gordon's got the 188s and 170. I feel like we can get a more accurate if we really converted these centimeters to. Hold on, I'm going to do this here.
Oh boy,
we're doing this live on air. We're converting.
We're converting you to Christianity. Welcome.
Length. Here we go. What do we got? Centimeters. All right. So this is 100 and 179. We're Americans. Here's how we do it. 100. No, that's 1.7. No, that's 170. Wait, 179 centimeters is 5'8". See, I knew he was shorter. Who fucking converted this? That's 5'8". Okay, so then 188 centimeters is 6'1". Yeah, come on, 5'8" and 6'1".
I feel like Gordon definitely got the better conversion on that one. He was only off by an inch, whereas Bobby's off by 3 inches.
Come on, yeah, that's. I was like, I know Bobby's a short little guy. Come on, no. It's got to be Gordon Ramsay, man. He's got the anger. He's got the reach. He's from Scotland. So obviously he knows how to knife someone.
Yeah, Bobby, if you're saying who would be likely to, put a rag of ether around your mouth and capture you in the middle of the night, and then you end up in a stew later that week, I would go with Bobby Flay. But, for straight, like, one-on-one fight, it's going to be Gordon Ramsay for sure.
Absolutely. Gordon Ramsay!
Do. That was fun.
That was good.
Super exciting. Justin, what do you have to recommend this week? Sorry,
there's
my
a-
chest is really sore, and I just realized I'm just rubbing my pecs really
Look, I'm
bad right
into
now.
it, man. You.
Ay,
That's- Oh, let's get a shift. Sorry. Whew. Keep doing it.
yeah. Oh God, that is really sore. Oof. All right.
You
Anyway,
do a lot of the weightlifting today.
I did some chest workout yesterday. I'm in.
Shoulders like boulders, and you're crushing the stonk market. What? Look at you. What are you turning into, Doug?
Yeah, man, I'm in the back 3 weeks of my 10-week program. So we're
Hashtag
really,
PTL, am I right?
we're really just, I was doing some bench supersets followed by push-ups. I did 5 sets of those, and then I was doing incline press followed by incline chest flies. Did 5 sets of those. And then I did some dips. And then I did,
Oh, you thought like French onion?
yeah, French onion dips. I
That's
just put
good.
both hands in, and I swirled them all about. I don't have to apologize for that. Thanks, Alpaca. So I'm like,
There you go.
ha! Anyway, Justin,
We're now moving into the OnlyFans portion of the podcast.
yes, welcome.
Yes. So on Apple TV Plus, there's a new series called We Crash, starring Jared Leto and, or I think it's Jared Leto and Anne Hathaway.
Right, I
and
heard
it's
about this.
They play Adam Newman and Rebecca. I cannot remember her last name. Rebecca Newman. They got married. Or Rebecca Paltrow. I think she's Gwyneth Paltrow's cousin. But the founders of WeWork, and it documents the rise and fall of those two as a power couple and what happened and the shit they got themselves into. It is so far a really good. I gave Jared Leto a lot of shit when he played Joker, and I wasn't a huge fan of him in the Little. Was it the Little Things?
Oh,
The
right,
one
right,
with
yeah.
Denzel? Yeah. In general, I do like him as an actor. I feel like he is crushing this role. I'm very, very, really impressed with what he's doing. Love Anne Hathaway. It's a very interesting series so far. First 3 episodes are out. Next episode drops Friday. Not sure how many they're doing, but it looks like new episodes are coming out Friday. So if you can, pirate Apple TV Plus and get it from a friend, we've talked about it. It's totally fine in Doug's eyes.
No.
Give that a watch.
Oh, no.
It's really, that's good though. It really is good. Curious to see where this goes. It's I was a fan of WeWork, the concept of the company. When they came out, I was that was right around when we were coming out out of the assignment desk and all that. And we were kind of like startups. We were talking about that, and it was real exciting to see all that. Like that's at the height of when they were doing their stuff, and it's just it's fascinating to see how they got corrupted and how I'll give him, the guy was a fucking salesman.
Yeah. They usually are.
Incredible salesman. Absolutely incredible. So interesting stuff. Doug, what do you got?
I've been in a rewatching movie mood, and I'm just kind of looking for movies that I haven't seen in a while, and I rewatched 13 Assassins on Prime. You ever seen that, Justin?
No, but I feel like this one is, I've got a list of movies that we started, I think you and I started this years ago, and that is, I think, at the top of my list. I'm
Really?
just pulling it.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've never seen.
It's an amazing film. It takes place in like the late 1800s in Japan. It deals with samurai towards the end of their era, and it's essentially about there is a half brother of the shogun who is a sociopath / psychopath, brutal guy who's just slowly rising up in political power. And what I love about this film is it really captures the Japanese idea of honor and duty, where even though everyone knows that this guy is really bad, they are honor bound to the shogun to follow orders. And also the idea that people are like, I'm going to protest this. And then they stab themselves in the stomach with a knife and disembowel themselves, and they're like, "Oh my God, that was his protest to what's happening." Like it's wild. But essentially, the conceit is, this Ronin, if you will, is hired to assassinate this essentially a political guy, and they have a small window of time to do it, and it's very, very cool. It's a great flick. Again, I don't know, man. Just the concepts of honor and what they're supposed to be doing. The lead assassin has a former schoolmate who is also a samurai who is protecting this bad guy, and they talk to each other, and he's at one point like, you know, what you should do is not protect this guy. You should help me. He's like, how dare you? My job as a samurai is to follow my lord. And he knows this guy is a piece of shit.
Yeah.
But he's like, this is my duty. This is my job. My job is to serve my lord. And regardless of whether or not he's a piece of shit, it's what I'm going to do. And that's fascinating to me. And the idea of what these guys are like, gets people to sign up with him. He's like, your lives belong to me now, and I will use them as I see fit. And you're like, wow, that is not at all in our culture. So it's very interesting.
Honor bound and
it's very cool. I highly recommend it. It's on Amazon Prime. That's another teaser for some D&D action right there.
Oh
but you should check it out. It's a great film. I really like it. It's very cool.
I would like you to watch the 1963 version of that same film, and I'd like to see how long you make it.
Interesting.
Because we all know that Doug has some issues with older films.
I sure do, man. I sure do. Mostly it's the editing. But yeah, be curious. I'd be curious. And if you're curious too, you know what you should do? You should check us out on all our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. On all of our social medias. Every single one. Go check them out. And of course, please check us out on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/MindGapPodcast. That's where we have all of our good stuff. Don't forget to check us out Tuesdays and Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central on our YouTube channel where we stream live. And Tuesdays is the podcast. Saturdays, it is the video game live stream. So come hang out with us. We love to see you here. We love to interact with you. Slotty says Doug hates old movies. Most of the time I do. It's very true. It takes a big effort for me to go and watch an old movie. And also, please don't forget to check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Amazon Play or Music, just all the places where you can find and consume quality podcasts. We will show up if you search us. And we would love it if you could give us a review, rate, subscribe, all those things. The big one really is, we say it's sharing. That is huge. But leaving a 5-star review is also very cool, and we very much appreciate it. And then just keep an eye on all of 2 East 8th's social stuff. That's at 2 East 8 TH, 2 East 8th. And 2east8th.com. We got a new website coming at you hopefully before the 7th of next month, because that's when it renews, and we need to not pay for 2 services. So I need to have us moved over to the other one.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, this was a fun episode. I want to thank everyone in chat. I want to thank Zenny. I want to thank Rolo, and especially Richie and Rolo for staying up late and hanging out with us. Slotty. I want to thank Jervis. All you folks, you're great. We appreciate you. For everyone that's listening, we appreciate you. You're the best around. Nothing's ever going to keep you down. And that being said, I want to say, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Chat, thank you.
And listeners, thank you.
And may you all have a dandy fucking week. And that, as they say, is that in the business. That was a podcast, and I hope you enjoyed it immensely.
Slotty, my father-in-law is coming into town this weekend. It's Beth's birthday, so I will be MIA all weekend.
All weekend long. I'm looking to do a What the Dub soon. I need to reach out to Carly from C2 and see if we can get her something for April. I think that'd be fun.
And let's coordinate, because I'd love to be around for
right.
it.
Slotty's like, I love to solve internal business during live stream podcasts. Don't we all?
Yeah.
Don't we all? Yeah, I'd love to. I think that should be fun. I also want to do. I think I might actually do Fortnite this Saturday. It feels gross to say that, but I think I will, because I think it would be fun to play with Jared and Zenny. I think it'd be fun for that.
Sorry, what's that?
And then I think the following weekend, I'd like to do Jackbox games. I think that might be what's on the docket, and then I can check with Carly and see when she's available in April for some What the Dub.
Yeah.
What
what are you doing this weekend?
What's up? Oh, Fortnite.
Okay. It's
a night of forts.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. Now you got it.
Got it.
Now he gets
Yep.
it. Now he gets it. Woo! Well, everyone, thanks again for hanging out with us. It's always a pleasure to see you. Well, maybe not see you, but to see your names pop up in chat. You're great.
Feel you with us.
Inside of us. It's great. Thank you for filling us up with your love and your words.
Time for my dick in worse.
You know, all that good stuff. So, until next time, keep it classy. And remember, professionalism. We get it right every time the first time. Fuck you for saying otherwise.
Just until we stop streaming, that's all it is.
Ta-ta.